Hey, Jesse, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I grew up and born and raised in the north side of St. Louis. I attended Bayshore High School where I graduated. Um, I took online classes at Ashland University for my bachelor's in educational studies. And from there, I just have been doing a lot of work in the community, trying to be awareness to gun violence.
So, I know you from around the community, working with organizations that deal with gun violence, and you have an event every year that we're going to be talking about called Guns
Guns
Down,
down,
Hoops Up.
hoops up. Yes.
Yeah, and I was just so impressed by how you took a personal tragedy and turned it into such a success story in St. Louis. So for our listeners who don't know you or haven't seen you around the way, tell us a little bit about what the foundation for this event is.
So the reason why I started my whole program, Guns Down, Hoops Up, 3-on-3 basketball tournament, because 4 years ago I lost my little brother to gun violence. And instead of going out trying to get revenge, trying to take matters in my own hand, I came up with a way to honor him instead of dishonor him. So I just came up with this 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
And I know a lot of us here in St. Louis, if we haven't been impacted by gun violence, we know families that have been impacted by gun violence. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your brother? I'm so sorry that you lost him at such a young age, but I bet he was a really cool guy just like you are.
Yeah, so it's like the typical love hate brother relationship, but a lot more love though. So basically like we did everything together. Workout. I played basketball, he played football. Um, loved his kids. So seeing him love on his kid made me want to love on my kids when I had finally had my first daughter. So I mean,
Mhm.
just an easygoing person, like give you the shirt off his back, and like I said, he was just a joy to be around.
I imagine the day you got that call or that notification, like your whole life changed, and I'm sure many families in St. Louis can relate to that. How do you what was helpful to you to get out of that space of hurt and into a space where you're so committed to the community? I wish, like, people have to really check you out and know your passion to know how committed you are to the St. Louis community. But how did you make that transition from hurt to community work?
Uh, I give a lot of credit to my mentors that I had since I was a little kid growing up. Like I said, if it wasn't for them, I probably would have been jump off the cliff. But just talking to them, they just kept me level headed and like, don't let all the work we put into you go away for a moment. Yes, we know you hurt, but at the same time, just remember the work that we be putting into you. And I just stuck with it.
So how did you come up with the concept for um this event? And before you explain it to us, I just want to say something. I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing this very painful experience that you had. I'm sure for your family and other families that have been impacted, it's not something that's easy to talk about. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show was because of this tremendous work you've done in taking something that is so heartbreaking and turning it into something that's actually touching other people's lives. So, can you remember like what you were doing when you first had the idea that you were going to do something in honor of your brother?
The idea just came to me because just going back thinking about the things that we like to do together.
Mhm.
And it was basketball. So I'm like, well, there's no other 3-on-3 basketball tournament that I know of that was going around in St. Louis. So I'm like, well, I could do that. Not only am I giving praises to my brother, but also giving the youth in the community something to do. So I just partnered with Mitch in St. Louis. We brainstorm and we put it together.
Now, I want you to take the listeners behind the scenes into this because, we often, many of us that do community work or that feel like they want to do something in community, we have an idea, but getting from idea to execution can be really, really challenging. And can you just take us on that journey of how you started? I think this is going to be your fourth year coming up.
Yeah, this was my fourth year.
Yeah. So how has it? How have you seen the event grow, change? Just take us behind the scenes.
Okay, so my first year, when I was trying to put it together, it was just me all by myself. So I was going around to like Herbert Hoover, Live for Life, different places trying to get help with to do it. I showed them my blueprint on how I want everything done, but the simple fact that they felt like they couldn't trust me because I'm new to the scene. I didn't have nobody backing me to vouch for me, so I kind of fell on my face my first year trying to put it together. So the second year rolled around, Mission St. Louis came to me like, "Hey, do you want to still do your basketball event?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we put it together that year, and it just took off from there.
So you got some support from Mission St. Louis, and
Hmm.
shout out to Mission St. Louis. They do amazing work in the area. If you don't know that organization, look them up, go to their website and support them because they are down in the trenches trying to touch lives. So Mission St. Louis comes on board and probably gives you like the backing and the I don't know the I don't know the word I'm trying to find, but they gave you the backing, which made people take you more seriously.
Yeah, basically almost like somebody, Mission St. Louis vouched for the person that I am,
Okay.
and that's all I needed was somebody to vouch for me. Like, hey, we know this young man. We know what he stands for. So if he say this is what he's trying to do, if y'all partner with us, then any business with us, y'all should do it with him. And like I said, he just took off from there.
So you said the first year it kind of you kind of didn't even get it off the ground. So now Mission
No.
St. Louis comes into the scene, and where was the first event held at?
So the first event was held at Tennis Rec Center over there in
Okay.
Grayville area.
Mhm.
Uh, so there I set records for no incident happened, no cars being broken into, no fights, no security, no nothing. Everything just went smoothly, and I was shocked because I didn't even know. They came and told me like, "Hey, there was no incident happening today." I'm like, "Damn, that's crazy. That's wild."
Wow. And that must made you feel really proud because the whole premise behind your event is for people to put the guns down. And
Yeah.
so being able to have an event in the area with so many people, how many people attended that first event?
So the first event only had 10 teams, but it's just a simple fact. Like, if you're from St. Louis, you should know that the Ville is like one of the highest crime rate area in St. Louis.
Mhm.
So, like I
Mhm.
said, for me to have my event there in this quote unquote high crime rate area and then nothing happen or pop off, like I said, it just gave me more motivation to keep going.
Okay, so that turns into a success,
Yeah.
and then you just had the event this not too long ago. So
Hmm.
tell us about how that went, where you had it, what the crowds look like.
So we went from Tennis Rec Center to having at Harris-Stowe State College. This would be our third time having at Harris-Stowe State College, and like I said, it's just a bigger platform to,
Mhm.
and make it look more professional. I'm not saying having that
Mhm.
Tennis Rec Center was professional, but to give it like even better look to the community. So yeah.
Well, and for those people who are outside of St. Louis, Harris University is the only HBCU we have in the area. So having your event that is addressing the issue of gun violence at the HBCU that's in the area speaks volumes to not only your commitment to the community, but also Harris Stowe's commitment to the community by highlighting your event. So that is pretty amazing. Harris Stowe gave you a bigger venue.
Hmm.
Did you notice more people attend? How many teams did you have this last go round?
So this time we had 20 teams.
Wow.
20 teams
So that's
signed
like
up.
100%
Yeah,
increase.
yeah. And like some of the prizes we gave away was kind of ridiculous, but hey, it was all good.
Okay, so for future basketball players in 303 teams, what were some of those prizes?
So first place prize walked away with $1,000. Second place walked away with 500. Third place walked away with 300. We did a raffle, so we gave away a 65-inch TV, a pair of custom our first one is done by Brock Sears, one of the best artists in St. Louis when it
Yes,
comes to customizing.
yes.
So we did that, and just like everything was everything for the community, like free food. The
Mhm,
admission is free to get in. The teams don't have to
mhm.
pay no registration fee. Like everything free, just to highlight the things that we are pushing for the community.
Well, that's important because for so many young people, money, fees and entry fees can be a barrier. But
Hmm.
here you've created an event where not only do the teams not have to have a registration fee, but it's free admission. And maybe for the other organizations in the area that are doing mentorship and working with young boys, if you haven't heard of this event, maybe this is something that you want to check out next go round when the event comes up. So when will the next one be?
So the next event will be next April, 2025.
Next April?
Yes,
Do you have a actual day or just the month of April?
we just had the money right now.
Oh, okay. So everybody will have to follow and check you out so they can
Mhm.
keep up with what's going on and making sure that they get the information. And then also, whatever you put out, I also will share on my social media pages so that if people are following the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast on
Mhm.
social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, you'll also be seeing that information as Jessie puts it out. So what are you hearing from the young people that participate in this event? What are they sharing with you?
They keep telling me like it's dope, like they be looking for something to get into. So when they say that, I just tell them like, hey, every Saturday morning, I do an open gym from 9 to 1 in Mission St. Louis. So like I said, I'm always doing hooping is just to bring people together.
So that's every Saturday, 9 to 1, open gym at Mission St. Louis. And what do you do there with the young people that show up?
Basically, just like communicating, uh, telling them a little bit why I started the open gym. Just to give guys from the street something to do instead of being on the block. You know what I'm saying? You being on the block ain't nothing gonna come from but trouble. So
Mhm.
if I could take a couple of guys for a couple of hours, let them blow off some steam, get a good workout in, is way better than just being on the block and having trouble come look for you.
And I think I want to bring up something that we often talk about in our communities is the fact that young boys and young men need other men, need to be in proximity of other men. And for families that struggle to figure out how to get your young men in a situation where they can be poured into, here we are. And this is one of the reasons I love having guests on my podcast, because everyone's out here doing so much good. Like there are people literally being the change and trying to make the change. So if you have young men that like to hoop, looking for something to do, you want to get them um, doing something that's positive, working out, shooting hoops, and all of that. Open gym, 9 to 1 every Saturday, Mission St. Louis, and Jesse's gonna be there pouring into the young men. And I think that's just really exciting because, like with some of the organizations, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and some of the other um, more well known organizations, they have wait lists. You have to go through so much. This is something where young men could just come in and they don't have to do a lot of explaining and applications and all that. Boom, boom, open gym. So I think that's really cool. And like that gives you an amazing platform, within the community, not only the open gym, but your event.
Yeah.
So how many like when you have the open gym, typically, average, how many guys do you have?
On an average day, I probably have about 16, 18 guys in there.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And there's no membership fees.
No.
There's no drop-in fee. They
Mm.
can just come and hoop.
Yep.
That is really amazing. And I feel like we have to do better as a community highlighting the organizations that are out here doing something. We often say, not everybody, but sometimes I know I do it. So let me
Mm.
just talk about me. I do it when I'm driving. Like there are some kids and they need something to do. I say that in my head a lot of times. Well, guess what? There are things that they can do. We just don't necessarily have the information, or we're not necessarily plugged into what's going on, and that's why this episode is so important, because we have not only Jesse, but we have Mission St. Louis, an amazing organization that has so many programs that are actually trying to touch the people in the community who need support, who need services, who need um, direction, who need hope. So that is amazing. Let me ask you a question. So
Hmm.
you've got this event. Where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
Um, I know one of my big dreams I really want to do is do like an after school program for the
Hmm.
community to where kids can come in, get help with homework, have a safe have a safe place to come play different sports and something like that. Something like almost like a smaller version of like a Matthew Dickey's or a Herbert Hoover.
And that is like a tremendous vision. So I'm going to challenge those in St. Louis that are looking to touch the lives of young people to reach out and connect, because I mean that is an amazing vision. And again, here you are, a regular person, just trying to do the best you can for the community. And there are so many others like you out here. I don't know if I can get them all on the podcast. I will do my best. I'll do my best, but I think we can't celebrate, highlight, or speak enough of the efforts that are going on. We know what the negative is. We know that, between St. Louis and Chicago, the gunplay is out of is off the charts. But at the same time that's happening, and the news media is creating this negative narrative, at the same time there are boots on the ground. There are people that are doing this, and I think it's really amazing for the people, for the young men who will watch this podcast, to see a man taking a lead role in changing the community.
I just want the people to understand that like so far like as a young man, like I come from the same background that you come from. Playing games, been shot at, have tattoos, but I didn't let none of that stop me from seeing my true potential. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it's easy for us to get stuck in that one particular spot and just like, well, don't nobody else see no hope in me, so I'm gonna just do it how it is. But you could be so much more than
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, we talk about young men and boys needing men, needing to have those relationships with men, needing to be in spaces with men. And there are so many organizations, not just you, not just Mission St. Louis, but there are a few other organizations I can think of right off the top of my head that are doing the heavy lift with boots on the ground. And you're right. You're right. You come from the same background that a lot of these young men have struggled with. And if you're able to do more and go further, then you can show them that they can too. And I think that's a misnomer. Like, we have to get out of this mindset that because you come from a certain set of circumstances that limits you.
that. Hmm.
Like, that's just your history. That's not who you are. You are not where you grew up. I know this is going to shock a lot of people in St. Louis, but you're not your high school. you know you're not your job, you are you. And guess what, a lot of us have had challenges, but being around people who have navigated that space and have moved forward can give you ideas on how to move forward. And I think, honestly, for young men, hope is a very powerful thing. Not the pipe dream, not the, well, if I do this and do this, everything is going to be okay. A lot of young people are seeing that's not the case, and they don't buy into that necessarily.
Hmm.
But I think the raw honesty, like you're talking about, just saying, hey, I understand where you come from, I understand your challenges, I understand the obstacles you have to overcome, and guess what, I went through that same path, and I can just show you what I know, and we'll see how it comes out.
Because I feel like if people relate more to some things or things in life period if it coming from somebody that look like them or been through the same situations as them. Instead of like an outsider coming in like, hey, you should be doing that. Woo, woo. That person gonna look like you like you don't know what I'm been through in life. Like, go on, but somebody from the community coming to them, talking to them as a man, not try to down talk them or just meeting them where they at. I just feel like us as men, we need to meet other young men where they at instead of trying to beat them down about the decisions they are making or the way they're living their lives.
And the whole goal is to mentor these young men and boys into their full potential, which doesn't include managing things with guns. And
Hmm.
that's not a judgment statement. The streets are the streets. And you and I have had many discussions about how things roll here, but we've got to, we, the community, have to believe in the potential of our young people, not just what we see but what's possible. And that's what I love about your perspective and the way that you approach your work, is that you see the good and the potential, and that's where you work from. You don't necessarily work from, well, it's this problem and this problem and this problem. You say, yeah, I see that, but you as an individual can do more, go further. And that passion right there, that's what got my attention. I'm like, man, this is great. And I really appreciate your openness and your candor, um, when it comes to working with young people, because we need everybody. We need everybody engaged into making sure our young people are in a position to live out to their full potential, whatever that is. And also, we need to be non-judgmental about what that should or should not be.
Hmm.
you
That
know
that is true.
well, Jesse, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I really appreciate you coming by and stopping in and letting us know more about your event and who you are. So the event is Guns Down, Hoops Up.
Mm-hmm.
Happens every April in St. Louis.
Yep.
Right now, the venue is Harris Stowe, and if you follow the Convos with Anita Santiago's social media pages and the website, when Jessie puts out the actual date for the next event, registration links, I'll share them as well. Registration for teams is no cost, and admissions is no cost, and we're trying to change the community. And I'm so blessed to be able to support not only Jessie, but Mission St. Louis is very close to my heart. Support this effort in us trying to change the dynamic around this gun violence in St. Louis. On the website, in the guest section, will be Jessie's information if you want to follow him directly, and reach out to him, maybe partner with him if you're an organization. Let's see what we can do when we all come together with a common goal and a common purpose. So, Jessie, thanks so much for stopping in to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. Hey, listeners, supporters, and fans, please like, share, review the podcast on all major platforms, including YouTube. Again, the website is lifeconvos.com. And if you want to reach out to me, you need more information about this event, or to get in contact with Jessie, you can reach out to me at convoscws@gmail.com. Thanks and happy listening.